Started. Thank you everybody for being here. I am Representative Chad Campbell, the House Minority Leader here in the Arizona State Legislature. Good to see you all. Hope you all had a good weekend. So last week we discussed some of the Republican bills that we felt were misplaced in terms of the priorities of the state. Bills such as the orange food stamp card, the bills that are attacking the Supremacy Clause and the federal government and have absolutely no basis and no legal basis, no basis in the priorities of the state, instead of actually working on fixing what's wrong in this state. And today we want to talk about another example of that, and this is the focus by the majority party to pursue what we feel are very, very ill-advised gun bills. And I want to point out, we got a poll recently that showed the priorities of the majority party regarding these gun laws do not match the priorities of Arizonans. The Arizona Daily Star recently published the results of a poll carried out by a Republican polling firm, and it showed that 47% of Arizonans live in a household where guns are owned. Of those living in gun-owning Arizona households, only 8% favored more lenient gun laws. 56% said they wanted gun laws to stay the same, and 35% said they wanted stricter gun laws in the state of Arizona. When Arizonans were asked whether they favored 11 specific gun restrictions, a majority favored every one of them. And as many of you have heard me say, I am a gun owner, have been my entire life. I grew up hunting. I've had rifles and handguns throughout my life. Many members of my caucus are gun owners, and we completely believe in the Second Amendment. But we also believe in some common sense. And right now, that is severely lacking down here at the Capitol. Republicans right now are taking an unbalanced approach without any common sense, and it's time that we hold them accountable for these actions. Just on Thursday, Republicans in the Senate voted to pass Senate Bill 1201, which prevents the banning of firearms in public events and public buildings, including things like Diamondbacks games, Suns games, concerts, etc., where people are drinking alcohol, I might point out. And a personal anecdote, I was actually at the Tempe Beer Festival this weekend, and I can tell you assuredly that I would not have wanted many of those people carrying a gun that day after 4 hours of drinking beer by the Tempe Town Lake. And so we saw it last year, we're seeing it again this year. Last year they passed the Guns and Bars bill, which was a very, very ill-advised bill, and did absolutely nothing to help turn this state around, did not create a single job, did not fix our budget problem. And we're seeing it again with bills like Senate Bill 1201 and other bills like Senate Bill 1335, which allows jackrabbits, raccoons, and predatory animals to be hunted during nighttime hours, and we all know what a pressing issue that is for the state of Arizona. Or House Bill 2563, which would make it easier for mentally ill people to get their gun rights restored. And I don't think I even need to sit here and talk about how ridiculous that bill is. So right now our state's unemployment rate is still about 9.6%. We still have one of the top foreclosure rates of any state in the country, and nearly 100 Arizonans' lives are at stake because they cannot get an organ transplant. Arizonans are fed up with the majority party's misplaced priorities, and it's time we get them back on track and hold them accountable. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to another gun owner and colleague of mine, former Marine who fought in Iraq, Representative Ruben Gallego.
Thank you very much. Some of you know I'm Representative Ruben Gallego, and I know a little bit about weapons. I serve in the infantry with the United States Marine Corps. I have been shot at almost in every ordinance that the weapon that our enemies have. Let's see, if I can remember, RPGs, AK-47, snipers, mortars, whatever there is. And I mentioned that not to be try to impress you guys, but to kind of more than anything else educate everybody to make them realize that, you know, I understand gun rights. I understand the need for defense. I've seen the worst and the best of humanity when it comes to weapons. But when I look at these laws, I just do not understand what basis they're coming from. I represent a very urban district in the city of Phoenix. I have a lot of libraries. I have a lot of community centers. If this law passes, it's going to add an added burden to our taxpayers because we're going to have to have armed guards and metal detectors at our libraries and our community centers. And right now with these budget situations, we just do not have it. And not only that, but it's just not a priority for the citizens of Arizona to go and doing that. I've had a very great weekend. I had family in town, and I was able to take them to two spring training games and to Beer Fest also, where I saw Representative Campbell. and no quorum was accomplished.
Was she standing?
Mary Jo, I think we should stick to what's germane here. But you know, those are all public entities that would be affected by a law like this. It would bring the cost up of going to spring training because we would have to have metal detectors and armed guards. And more importantly, what would that say to our out-of-town visitors and tourists that we have to have these situations where we have to have armed security guards and metal detectors and go lockers, as well as something with Beer Fest where, again, it's already an expensive event. Now you're going to have to add the cost of passing on the cost to the consumer of buying, renting armed guards as well as gun lockers. So a lot of these laws I just do not understand where they're coming from. And I am a strong supporter of some of gun rights. I have voted with the Republican majority this year on some of the gun rights bills, but this just does not make any sense to me. And I don't think, and we know for a fact that the citizens of Arizona do not believe it makes sense. And we should really truly get back to what does make sense, which is getting together and working on a balanced budget. With that, should I take any questions? Or
Any questions?